Arizona is pro sports retirement.
You had no chance with Kelly Kapowski.
We don't make mistakes, just happy little accidents.
You only live once.
Run wild on you.
Who would have seen this coming? Oh yeah, it was Rank on Tackling Dummies.
What's cracking, everybody? Welcome into the Tackling Dummies. It's episode number 1. Adam Rank, James Cohn. It's like I said on Twitter, Adam Rank. The suits, they didn't want it. The haters, they didn't want it. They wanted to hate on it. But you know what? It's all good. We're here. We got a brand new show for everybody out there. Adam Rank, how you doing, pal?
I'm doing really well, thank you. If you'll excuse me, because my eyes are darting around because I want to see my daughter reconfigured my home studio here. She was moving around. She the only thing I told her is RBG can't move. Like, you got to keep RBG in her spot, but everybody else is fair game.
I missed that Funko Pop. That's pretty sick. You also got little baby Yoda back there. What else you got back there?
Grogu. But it's also
okay,
like
well,
over here somewhere too, is I have a Luke Skywalker carrying Yoda and trying to explain to my 2-year-old that there's a difference between Yoda and Grogu, and he's not buying it. He thinks they're the same person. And I'm like, come on, bro.
I mean, his name is Baby Yoda, so I mean, it would make sense that
it's never
Yoda,
was his name. No.
And then he's the baby version.
Grogu. No, he's Grogu
of Yoda.
No, that's
so it's
not
the
accurate.
same. It'd be like if we said Baby Rank. It's like Baby. Okay.
Right.
Anyways, we got a great show, man, in front of us here today. We are going to be debating the greatest submission of all time. What do we got? The sharpshooter figure 4 angle ankle lock or the $1 million dream. We're going to talk about start bench cut there. We're of course going to be talking about Zach Wilson versus Sam Darnold. And then how about the Jags, man? They made a couple of sneaky moves this offseason. Obviously, they're going to make a move in this upcoming draft that's going to kind of set them up. I almost wonder, Adam Rank, whether or not they're going to be a playoff team.
Down in Duval?
In Duval!
Oh, my gosh.
We're going to debate whether or not that is dumb or smart. But again, it's episode 1 of Tackling Dummies, man. And for those of you who don't know, Adam Rank and I have been longtime friends. We obviously got together and made our hay over at NFL Network. And now we just decided to kind of come back and do this thing on YouTube, man. I'm pretty pumped.
It's a vanity project for the two of us. We're not getting paid for this, anybody.
No.
So I know the NFL lawyers looking in right now. They're like, what's
Very
going
closely.
on? I'm like, I'm not getting paid.
Don't worry.
I'm sitting here talking to my friend, and people are joining in a conversation. This is the way we operate in modern society. Is now we do Zooms and YouTubes, and this is the way that we can reach people. Also, for anybody who ever asks, like, can you be on my podcast? Just take the clips from here and put them on your own pod. No, I'm just teasing. I got a couple of appearances I'm doing today. I try to do every Wednesday. I try to do at least do like 3, because I like to reach out. Like I always feel bad because I know you feel the same way. Anytime that somebody who has a pod or anything like that is like, we'd love to have you on the show. And during the season, it's not always possible. And I know that we're not relevant from these months. Like, now nobody cares what I think about anything. But I do try to reach out and hang out and have some fun. This is usually when I do wrestling podcasts the most, but yeah, so this is fun. This is a fun little thing. Talk some football and get to back. And it's cool. Like, we appreciate the response too. I should put that out there as well.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's gonna be fun because I mean, we're gonna be talking about just regular old football. I mean, there would be some fantasy football mixed in just because, I mean, that's what we do. You know what I mean? But I mean, for the most part, I think we're just going to be talking about regular football, probably talk about some pop culture references and maybe some references that are not necessarily pop, but things that we enjoy. But all right, man, let's get right into it, shall we? Let's talk about Zach Wilson versus Sam Darnold here. And for those folks, maybe if you haven't seen the video, I just want to play this video for you. And then we'll take a look and then we'll discuss. So this is Zach Wilson making a throw on his pro day. And then how about Sam Darnold essentially making the exact same throw, except he's under pressure. So, I mean, Adam Rank, it's funny because, the football verse went kind of crazy over this throw, and rightfully so, right? I mean, beautiful throw by Zach Wilson, no doubt about it. You know what I'm saying? But what do you make of the throw and kind of what do you make, I guess, of all the hype surrounding Zach Wilson right now?
By the way, if Mahomes makes the throw that Sam Darnold made, we would never have seen the end of it. It would have been part of our national lexicon and everything. Here's my thing, and I don't know if I'm going to jump in too early on this discussion, but Zach Wilson is very impressive, and he does a lot of things correct, and I think he's an exciting prospect. Certainly would be my second quarterback off the board. So I'm really impressed by Zach Wilson, but I'm a big Sam Darnold guy as well.
I feel like you can't have both things be true here. You can't say Adam Gase is the worst head coach in NFL history and also tell me that Sam Darnold is trash.
Yeah.
You can't have it both ways. You can't have your cake and eat it too. It's either one or the other. And for me, I don't think we're kind of building in the Adam Gase effect enough into the evaluation of Sam Darnold, right? I mean, again, he was kind of dealing with a lot of injuries throughout his wide receiver core, his pass catching core, if you will. And really, again, it just all goes back to me to Adam Gase. And Adam Gase was absolute trash.
Yeah.
And I think we can all agree on that. I think we all know that.
Yeah. Why?
So how are you going to sit there and tell me now Sam Darnold's so bad? I don't get it.
It's so funny to me that Adam Gase, how did Adam Gase become a thing? You know why? Because two guys had their best years with Adam Gase, Peyton Manning and Jay Cutler. So you want to tell me that one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in NFL history had a good season with him, and also Peyton Manning. Both those guys had a great season with Gase, and all of a sudden he was this quarterback whisperer. It's ridiculous. So I agree. It is there's an effect. Adam Gase really did it, and you know, and you hear this a lot too. And people do he saw ghosts, and I'm like, you know what? Like, you've never been on an NFL sideline, and you don't know half the S that these guys say. And ESPN kind of did Sam dirty by airing that.
That's true.
On the broadcast.
That's
That's terrible. That's almost ruined his life.
All right.
Can I say something though? And
of course.
If I can take this in a different way. Here, as much as I love Sam Darnold, and I really do, I'm a Sam guy. I would enjoy him being the quarterback of the Bears. I still think the Jets have to make the move at quarterback, and they have to draft Zach Wilson. The only reason being is you have a new coach, Robert Saleh.
Yep.
You got Mike LaFleur coming in there. Having a quarterback already entrenched is kind of like moving in with your girlfriend and her ex is still crashing on the couch. Like, what is happening? What's going on? Why is he still here? I mean, I guess he's paying for the rent, so that's cool, but whatever. I just don't think that it's fair that anytime you have a new regime coming in, that you go out there and there is still a question. I like Sam Darnold, but there is still a question of whether he's an NFL quarterback or not. So if he goes out there and doesn't play well, and you're like, oh, wow, this wasn't the guy, he's not going to work for our system. Well, then you're kicking it down to year 2. Then you have to draft a quarterback again. You might not be this high. You might end up going, you might end up pulling the Bears and ending up with a 20th pick in the draft. So if you have that number 2 overall selection, I say you make the move, you send Sam Darnold. I would love to, I've got an idea of where and I'm not saying Chicago, but I would go to a situation where you have an older quarterback. Okay. I don't know if, well, we're going to talk about this. I don't want to spoil it, but I've got an idea.
Oh, what a tease. Oh, what a tease. I like it. All right. So you kind of addressed my follow-up question there. It's like, should the Jets draft a quarterback? And obviously you think that they should. No, and that's fine. And it's funny, you know, I think we're both in agreement. It's like such a nuanced argument, you know, because I'm saying there is some upside to Sam Darnold, but then at the same time, it's kind of like, who has higher upside? Who's got the higher upside, Sam Darnold or Zach Wilson? And to me, I think the answer there is Zach Wilson. It's just funny when you play that video back and you kind of sort of see, all right, well, this guy's making this incredible throw against air. And then you kind of see this guy that, for whatever reason, people have trashed on Sam Darnold. You know, and I think that's also fair to say. People have trashed on Sam Darnold, and I don't necessarily know if that's fair. So it's a little bit of a nuanced argument.
No, you're absolutely right, and I agree with it. And if you had kept the coach, like if you were in a situation, and I don't want to use the Bears as an example, but it's kind of like if the coach was still the same, like if you had like a coach where you're like, we're giving this coach one more year. I wouldn't change quarterbacks on him. Like, I wouldn't do that to him. Be like, well, you've got to win this year or you're gone. We're drafting a rookie, because that's not fair. And similarly, I think that anytime you're bringing in a first-year head coach, if you're not 100% sold on that quarterback, if you don't know that, it's a bad example of the Browns, but if the Browns were making a move, or who else has a solid quarterback? I think the Falcons are kind of in this mix too. But any team that has a quarterback that has entrenched the youth, like the Packers, like when the Packers, made a switch at the coaching position, they didn't get rid. Like, that's where you're like, we're going to keep our quarterback, although they still drafted one too. But if you understand what I'm saying, like you gotta let the coach just start. If you're starting off all brand new, then be all brand new. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't buy a new car and you'll be like, well, I'm going to take the seats out of the old one. Like, no. We're going full new here. We're starting over. Send Sam somewhere else. I think he can still play in this league. I think that's fair to say, but I think people are stupid for not giving Sam Darnold enough credit for that throw.
I agree. I totally agree. And I also we've kind of sort of talked about this, but I just feel like Darnold's got potential to be a decent NFL starter in this league, man. He just needs the right pieces around him, and he needs to get coached up. And quite frankly, he just needs to get away from Adam Case, but that's all good. By the way, I want to say what's up to Brendan Graham, who said welcome back, and then Patty, who just joined the chat as well, giving us a thumbs up here. But appreciate you guys. Would really appreciate if you guys liked and subscribed to the YouTube channel. That'd be great. And, of course, Tackling Dummies will be here on my YouTube channel every Wednesday, and then you'll find it on demand as well. But shall we move on, Adam?
Yeah. Am I throwing to you here, or are you throwing to me?
Well, you should throw to me. Why
I should have done a better job of reading the rundown. I couldn't. I was like, whatever. But I think I will throw this question to you, because I think that people know that I'm not necessarily considered a Jags fan, but I think that I'm Jags friendly. Like, we have an alliance.
Oh yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
like the WWE locker room of the 80s, where you just assume that every good guy, every face was a friend, every heel liked each other. It's kind of that way. Like, me and the Jags, we're in the same locker room. Like, okay, like if somebody's beating up on the Jags, I'm the guy who runs out from the back. Like, oh, it's Adam Rank's music. He's breaking it up, like breaking up this fight, like fighting off Titan fans or whatever, doing what I got to do. But let me ask you this. Is it dumb or smart to think that the Jacksonville Jaguars can make a run at the playoffs this season?
I know it sounds crazy. I absolutely, I get it. It's what they're 1-15. And I promise you, you and I might be the only people picking the Jags here to make a playoff run, but we have seen it before. So I will say smart.
Yeah.
Smart.
Buddy.
It's a bit of look, I get it. It's a bit of a long shot, and I understand, but I think it's smart to say the Jags legitimately have playoff aspirations coming into 2021. 1-15 last year. Can they get to 10 wins this year? And quite frankly, I think it's possible. Look, you add Trevor Lawrence, you've got a whole new coaching staff there. It's gonna transform the culture of this team. Plus, they add Marvin Jones, and boy, you look at that wide receiving core, Adam, right? Marvin Jones, DJ Chark, Laviska Shenault. That is a nasty trio of wide receivers, and I kind of sort of like how they're a little bit like a basketball team out there too. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Chark is 6'4", Jones is 6'2", Shenault is 6'1". Shenault, especially working out of the slot and getting those full-time reps, I think is going to be huge. I think he's going to take a big step forward. And Trevor Lawrence manning the signal caller position, I just feel like, man, this offense is ready to rip and run. James Robinson in the backfield, Adam Rank. Tell me where there is a weakness on the offensive side of the ball.
No, and I think that you make a perfect point too. And, they get 2 picks in the first round, and they also have the first pick of the second round, which is also significant to me. If I'm thinking about that correct, I don't think they've dealt that pick away. I should have really double checked that. Actually, double check it while I'm talking, because I'm just thinking about like when you're starting to, when I'm starting to put together mock drafts and stuff like that. And we saw it last year where T. Higgins fell to the second round, and somebody like Elijah Moore out of Mississippi, like that's somebody who could fall like to be available the first pick.
By the way, yes, they do have their first pick in the second round. Yeah.
So like they could add another skill player right there, they could, they do have the Rams pick in the draft too. Which I think they're going to probably end up going safety. I think the kid out of TCU, Trayvon, what's his name? But I think that that's a pretty good, like they can bring in a safety and address a couple of different needs. I think that the most mirroring example, and I know that we had talked about this before, and you're talking about when the Colts brought in Andrew Luck, which was a little bit of a different situation because the Colts were a playoff team. They lost Peyton Manning, Curtis Painter, and I don't know if Jim Sorgi was still on the team. But they all, they were very like turnkey. They were close. You knew they were going to be good the following year. But the team that I think mirrors them the most is what happened with the Los Angeles Chargers last year. Now, obviously, they didn't make the playoffs, but the Chargers were very competitive, and they were in a lot of games. And no disrespect to Tony Lynn, who I think is going to be a good coordinator for the Detroit Lions. It bothers me as much as I want to clown on the coaching staff of the Detroit Lions is I look at Tony Lynn and I understand I don't want him calling timeouts or anything like that. I don't want him to be a game manager, but as a coordinator, like this is the thing. Like we have that League of League teams and we have DeAndre Swift and I know they signed Jamal Williams and I'm like, Tony Lynn is the offensive coordinator. Like, I don't know why people are not more excited about DeAndre Swift this year, even though they brought in Jamal Williams. Like it's crazy 100%. To me.
Yeah.
But that all being said, the Chargers were very competitive in a lot of games that could, and they won 4 in a row to finish the season. I think they finished with 7 wins, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe 6, but 7 sounds about right. So it shows you the difference that a high-end quarterback can make. And if we're thinking that Trevor Lawrence can come in here and have a similar type of season to Justin Herbert, well, then it's absolutely the case that you could go out there and sneak into the playoffs. There are some teams like Houston. We don't know what's going on with Houston. Indianapolis
Houston is an absolute dumpster fire. I mean,
right.
Houston's a dumpster fire wrapped in a dumpster fire. I mean, they're bad.
It's a dumpster fire that's on fire inside of a dumpster. And it's the scene from Toy Story 3, the big incinerator that the Toy Stories are going in. And I'm like, oh, by the way, can I say that I hate Woody? I think Woody sucks, by the way.
What? Why?
From Toy Story. I think he's terrible.
What's wrong with Woody?
He's awful. He's always the worst one. Like, I don't like his motivations. He's always super selfish. Buzz puts his neck on the line constantly. But anyways.
Hold on.
And it sucks because the actors
Woody
are the two opposite.
No, Woody is not. What are we talking about here?
Have you ever seen Toy Story? You have kids, right?
He had a moment of jealousy. That's
in
all
every
he had.
movie. In every movie. In 2, in 3.
Come on.
Over and over again. It's annoying. I hate that doll. In any event. But I wish the actors were switched. But anyways, that doesn't matter. My thing is Jacksonville is a lot closer than people are giving them credit for. They should have been a little bit closer last year. But I think with Urban Meyer, and people are like, well, I don't know. I think that's a good coach. And I think that the lack of success that we've really seen out of some of these college coaches coming to the NFL, I think years ago stemmed from the fact that they weren't running pro-style offenses or they weren't working hard or whatever it is. And now this is a different situation. I think that Urban Meyer is going to be able to succeed on this level. I think it's a Pete Carroll type of thing, going way back to Jimmy Johnson. I think it's that kind of level. I think Urban Meyer is going to be good. I think the Jags are definitely an 8 or 9 win team. I think that's a pretty reasonable expectation.
I think you can. I would love to see what their over/under line is for win totals, but I would agree with you. I think 8 wins is almost a lock. And when I'm talking about them kind of competing for a playoff spot, I really do believe they could push for 10 wins. Now, look, I get the NFL, it's a topsy-turvy league. And we've seen this before where teams from the bottom jump all the way to the top. And, you mentioned, the Colts. And I just, you don't give Peyton enough credit in that situation. You know what I'm saying? This is a team that had Peyton Manning and they were a perennial playoff team. They did such a poor job drafting, such a poor job in free agency that when Peyton Manning got injured, they were literally the worst team in the NFL. Literally the worst team in the NFL. 1-15 the year Peyton Manning got injured. And what happened the next year? They draft Andrew Luck and they win 11 games and then they make the playoffs. So I know it's rare, but it's not unheard of to kind of see teams that do this poorly one season and then kind of over excel and then really do well the next season. And again, I love the addition of Marvin Jones to this offense, and I know their defense needs a lot of work, but I think they will address those things in the draft. And you bring up Urban Meyer, Adam Rank. I think that's a great call. It's different than it was because so many coaches and so many NFL teams are employing college-style offenses and college concepts. You know what I mean? So the transition now, not only for the quarterback, for the coaches too, I think the transition, we saw it with Cliff Kingsbury, comes right out the gate and is pretty successful, right? So I think that for me, when I look at Urban Meyer coming into the situation, he's got a great quarterback, man. And I think you and I are both in agreement that Trevor Lawrence is probably the best quarterback prospect really since Andrew Luck. And if that is the case, I do think he could put the team on his back. I love what they've got on the offensive side of the ball. I think even their O-line is fine. It's not going to be a top 5 O-line. That's okay. But I think middle of the pack O-line, I don't see a single deficit, any kind of hole on the offensive side of the ball. You pair that with Urban Meyer, Trevor Lawrence, and all the boys, man, I think they're going to be off and running. So yeah, man, I will say smart. Jags are a potential playoff team next year. All right. But that's a team that's obviously going to be adding a quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. We saw Green Bay very surprisingly, Adam Rank, add a first-round quarterback last year. Jordan Love out of nowhere.
Wait, hold on. Traded up for him, by the way.
Yeah.
Hey, were you watching them lose back-to-back NFC championship games, saying to yourself, you know what, if they had a better backup quarterback, they could have won this game.
They were just a quarterback away. And then they go draft a running back. And then re-sign Aaron Jones. What y'all doing, Packers? What are y'all doing?
It's one of my favorite people. I love Aaron Nagler, and it's fun to go back and forth with him and Tom Grossi and all these guys. And it's so funny to be like, I understand what they're saying. They're like, we're going to be competitive forever. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But it sucks when you don't win it all, when you have all these opportunities. And to me, being an Angels fan, I know this feeling because in 2002, the Angels won the World Series, and then we're in the playoffs seemingly every year for the rest of the decade. It sucked being so close and not winning and being like, we could have really, and at least the Angels were taking swings. Like the Angels bankrupt themselves, like trading for Mark Teixeira and Zach Greinke and things like that. The Packers never do that. Every team that's successful in the NFL, and we talked about this in the pilot, like to me, I think the Rams are ahead of them because they're trying everything they can to win. They got way better in the offseason. The Buccaneers, by maintaining the status quo, are fine. They're going to probably end up bringing in some other guys. The Packers just kind of spin their wheels. But this isn't about trashing the Packers, although as much fun as it is. I mean, it really is. It really is. It's so fun because, like, you are so good, and it's annoying. And listen, I don't know what it's like to root for a team that has a Hall of Fame quarterback for 30 years. But I would be pissed if we weren't doing it, like bankrupt the year or two. Like the last couple of years of the Mike McCarthy era, you were bad. And Aaron Rodgers covered your ass for a lot of it because it was probably worse. It was worse than it could have been. And it's like, and you're not even trying. Like it wasn't a situation where you're like, you know what? Like when the Lakers had that tough stretch until LeBron came aboard, you're like, the Lakers did that to themselves because they did everything in their power to help Kobe get more championships. And Kobe ended up with 5. And I remember talking to my friends, like, it's worth it. Like when the Lakers were bad, you're like, yeah, whatever, because we just win championships all the time. Like, it's totally cool. Like, totally worth it. I'd rather do that than be the Clippers or any other franchise in the NBA. Maybe not. I think San Antonio's living through it right now, too. Toronto didn't live. Toronto did it once, and we're like, we're done. We're getting rid of it. We're not going to try. Like, why aren't you trying to win too? That is the thing. It's like, for it.
Hey, first of all, come on. They did try. They tried to sign Kawhi. They just couldn't do it. Kawhi wanted to come back.
Is that correct? I'm sorry.
Clippers. Yeah,
I'm not as nuanced in the NBA as, of course. But what are we talking about though? What was the question?
I was like, I think we're really sidetracked here. But the question is, what team could be this year's Green Bay, meaning they surprisingly take a swing on a first round quarterback? Maybe they got to move up, or maybe they're in the back half of the draft and they're still thinking quarterback. What is a team, Adam Rank, in your mind that could be potentially drafting a quarterback?
So if I'm hearing you correctly, we know that the Jags are going for a quarterback. The Jets could be in the mix for a quarterback. The 49ers traded up. Carolina
Clearly.
gets mentioned. New England, the Bears, obviously. Like
The
there's
Bears,
teams that
obviously,
you
right.
kind of like, they could use a
You already know.
quarterback. Okay, we already know. A team, okay, the first one that kind of comes to mind for me is the Atlanta Falcons, who are sitting there at number 4. They have a brand new head coach with Arthur Smith, who
like
could
it.
easily want to continue with Matt Ryan. He's going to turn 36 here in a couple of weeks or a month or two.
Right.
I think in May, I think his birthday is. But he's going to be 36 this season.
Yep.
And for NFL quarterbacks, that's not super old. Like, it's conceivable that he's going to play 3-4 more seasons. And NFL teams should be looking at 3-year windows. So it makes sense.
Right.
Like, if Arthur Smith is comfortable enough, everybody should be familiar with Matt Ryan. You know what you got. If you want to ride with him, I'm cool with it. Like, I think that's a great idea. If you want to start over, I think that's also great. Like, if you come in, you're a new head coach, and you're like, look, we don't know how long Matt Ryan's going to be available to us. We don't know if he's going to have a precipitous drop-off or anything like that, if he's going to go full noodle arm Ben Roethlisberger. But Roethlisberger seems to get banged up a little bit more than these guys. But Eli had some issues. So you never know. So if you want to make a move, you're at number 4. Again, this goes back to the question or the statement that I made about the Jets. You don't know how high you're going to be picking. You don't know the next time you're going to be this high in the draft. You don't know. You don't know, like, you could end up going 8-9 next season and then end up with the 20th pick in the draft. And you're like, great, how are we going to get a quarterback now? So this might be your shot for it. The only problem is that you're likely picking the 4th guy. You would have to be really sold on him. So for me, for the Falcons, the best moves they could make is either, number 1, trading out of that spot, I don't know if you want to deal with Carolina, but trying to get the Patriots or somebody like that, the Bears or whomever, try to get them to move up to number 4 to get one of those quarterbacks. The price is, you're not going to get as much as the Dolphins. Was it the Dolphins who trade? Like, it was so confusing how many of these trades went through. You're probably not going to get.
The Dolphins got 3 first-round picks from the Niners to move from 12 to 3. They moved 9 spots. They got 2 additional first-round picks. My goodness.
Yeah, and it's crazy. So I think for the Falcons, you're not going to get that price because now the team that's moving to 4 they're not getting their first, second, or third choice.
Right.
So if the Falcons want, I think the Falcons could be in the mix for it. The only thing is if I'm them, I actually take Kyle Pitts. And I think
I was thinking the exact same thing. They should take Kyle Pitts.
You had Twilight Tony Gonzalez. You would get prime Tony Gonzalez. He would be your Travis Kelce type player.
Right.
I think that's a great move. And you know what? And if he
to
falls,
pair with Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, are you kidding me? Come on, bro.
And if the Falcons don't take him, then if I'm the Bengals, I stiff arm a man to get up there to the podium and draft Kyle Pitts for Joe Burrow. Like I think the Bengals should go offensive line, but if Kyle Pitts is there, there's no way he can get past you.
Yeah, well, I mean, what I found about O-line play, especially in the NFL recently, is that you mask a lot of bad O-line play with good skill players. You know what I mean? Like if you're able to get the ball out quick, if defenses are having to worry about, different multifacets of your offense, all of a sudden that offensive line looks a hell of a lot better. You know what I mean? Yeah. I kind of go back to Arizona's O-line. I thought Arizona had, and they still do, I think they have one of the 5 worst O-lines in the NFL. Yeah. But you know what? When you've got Kyler Murray and Nuke Hopkins running around doing things, like all of a sudden that O-line doesn't look quite as bad. You know?
I still have the Cardinals drafting a lineman too. There's a guard out of USC I think they need to go with. But anyways, that wasn't the question.
Right. For me, if we're talking about surprise teams, how surprising would it be? And if they made this pick, it would be a surprise, but you'd be like, okay.
Yeah. Who are you talking about?
How about Seattle?
What?
How about the Seattle Seahawks? Let's think about the Seattle Seahawks. Because, like, if they went up and they moved, and like, let's say they moved up in the draft a little bit, and they took, like, I don't know, somebody that we're not totally expecting right now. You know what I'm saying? But, like, let's say let's say they take, let's say Mac Jones falls to them in the first or second round or whatever it is, right?
Right.
They make that pick, and all of a sudden you're thinking, you know what? That makes a little bit of sense. Because there's been all this noise, all this drama regarding Russell Wilson, and you know what? Pete Carroll has had, by the way, Pete Carroll has done this before, has he not? Now, we know Russell Wilson's this perennial MVP, but okay, there's a little bit of tension brewing. But remember back in 2011, Seattle missed the playoffs and went 7-9. Pete Carroll then took a swing on a third-round rookie in Russell Wilson. He made him the starter after doling out that crazy contract to that Packers backup.
Matt Flynn.
And then Flynn. And they immediately made the playoffs, and then they won the Super Bowl in Wilson's second year. What am I trying to bring up? The fact that, look, you can invest in your defense, and you can have a quarterback on a rookie scale contract, and all of a sudden, we're cooking with gas. And you know what? You know who knows about that history? It's Pete Carroll. So
yeah.
If we're talking about surprising teams that might make a move to draft a quarterback, I think Seattle certainly is in that mix.
I love that one because that would mean Russell Wilson's going to Chicago. So
yes.
let's make that a thing. Let's breathe that into existence. I think that they should. They have to, because I really do believe, and I was joking about this as I was putting together my mock draft, like the Bears should, draft an offensive lineman at 20 just to protect Russell Wilson next year, because that's when it's going to make the most sense. And if Seattle does make a move, if they end up with somebody like Kellen Mond or somebody like that, because they can get somebody in the second round, Kyle Trask, anybody like that who is still available. I love that.
I like Trask as a second round quarterback, 100%.
Yeah, I'm into that as well. And I think that those are two quarterbacks the Bears should look after too. If I can, I know that we're going to run out of time at some point, but I want to throw out one other team that I think that warrants mentioning. And the way that I was constructing the mock drafts, I think that if there's 5 quarterbacks who could go very high in this draft, maybe 6. I got to go back and look. I think Detroit should actually be looking at a quarterback at number 7. And I know that they got Jared Goff, but my response to that is, you got Jared Goff like that.
How dare you?
He's by the way, props to Jared Goff and Max Homa and Mike Silver and you guys on the UCLA Bruins getting to the Final Four. I was remiss in not mentioning that. Like, because you guys all root for if you went to a UC school, you all root for UCLA, right? Is that the way? Because your fight song's the same. You all wear blue and gold. I don't know how that works. But anyways, props to you guys on the Bruins.
Hey, listen, Cal State. Calm down, Cal State. Okay, calm down.
Bro. Cal State. Fullerton.
What? Do you root for Cal State Northridge? What's going on here?
That's ridiculous. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. We don't have the same colors. We don't have the same fight song.
Okay. All right.
I'm a Chapman
guy. Keep going.
I'm a Chapman guy anyway.
You're a Chapman guy. Okay, good.
The whole thing with the Lions is that Jared Goff has regressed over the last couple of years with Sean McVay.
Okay.
I do. And again, I was just talking about how much I like Anthony Lynn as an offensive coordinator, and I think he's going to be great for DeAndre Swift. And you know what? If you look back, Justin Herbert had a fantastic rookie season with him, so it's not a coaching issue, but that's kind of why I would favor getting a rookie quarterback. Is like, why are you putting, like, poor Tony Lynn, it didn't work out for him with the Chargers. He had Justin Herbert, and you're like, oh, that sucks. Like, put him with a good quarterback. Like, isn't that what you want to do? Like, put him with a good quarterback. And the way that I see the quarterback moves panning out is I think that Justin Fields would be somebody who could be available at number, what are the Lions picking, 7? I got Justin Fields is there at number 7. I think that's a good move.
Wow,
for
really?
them. You could go Trey Lance. I know that Daniel Jeremiah has Trey Lance ahead of Justin Fields. Whichever, at this point, like, the quarterbacks are sort of interchangeable. Like, yeah, whatever. Like I'm doling it out. Like, I think Zach Wilson should go too. I just kind of shoehorn Mac Jones with the 49ers only because Mac Jones he's got kind of a Matt Ryan vibe to me. And I know how well Kyle Shanahan did with Matt Ryan. And I go, maybe, but whatever, what, it doesn't matter. Like, the quarterbacks are,
I guess you're right. Because Trevor Lawrence could go 1. I'm just hashing this out. And then Zach Wilson at 2, Trey Lance at 3, and then it's the Falcons, Bengals, Dolphins, and then the Lions at 7. So, yeah, I guess you're right. I guess Justin Fields really could fall to them at 7.
Like, realistically, if nobody traded up or anything like that, if the Panthers didn't jump ahead, like the Bengals the Bengals and Falcons should try to get the Panthers to jump ahead. And if I'm the Lions, even if you don't want to draft a quarterback, I would start working out these quarterbacks to get teams to jump in front of you. So if the Lions are going into this season thinking like Jared Goff's our guy, we're going to go with it. We're not interested in a quarterback. See, the fact that they're not kind of leads me to believe like I think Jared Goff is going to be the Lions version of Mike Glennon, where you're like, hey, Jared Goff will be at a draft party. And then like, oh, by the way, we just drafted Justin Fields. Super sorry. By the way, I can't wait to root against whomever the 49ers draft at quarterback, just because I'm still upset about 2017. And I know I shouldn't be. It's not the 49ers fault. Like, I shouldn't be mad at them for duping the Bears into moving up for Mitch Trubisky, but I am. I'm petty. And so but again, like, I just think I think the Lions should be in the mix. And the fact that they're not being talked about enough started to make me believe like, oh, are they in on a quarterback? Because it would make sense. Like I don't look at Jared Goff as like, yeah, we're set. Like, we're good. It's like picking up a Del Taco burrito and being like, oh no, I'm still eating dinner. Bro, I just had a 99-cent bean and cheese burrito. Like, I'm fine. I need to eat something else.
Hey, listen, bro. First of all, let me just defend the honor real quick here of Jared Goff. Because listen, I get it. He's working with a quarterback offensive mastermind, Sean McVay.
You guys act like he was working with Adam Gase. Stop it.
All I'm saying though, here's who he's throwing to: a small school slot receiver.
Oh my God.
And a journeyman wide receiver in Robert Woods. These are facts.
God.
These are facts. Now, he was able to turn these guys into very good NFL players.
You are ridiculous.
What? No, I'm not. These are facts.
Let me say
these are facts. Is Robert Woods not a journeyman wide receiver?
You know what? Let's take a look.
Is Cooper Kupp not a small school slot man?
Okay, Joe Montana was working with a small school slot man during the later part of the 80s, and somehow he was able to survive.
Listen, I love.
What does it mean? He's a good football. Like, Cooper Kupp is a good football player. He's a good receiver. You are being ridiculous.
But he doesn't have.
He throwing to?
Would you agree? He does not have a he doesn't have a monster wide receiver. He doesn't have a monster. He doesn't have a monster.
He never had a monster. Who's Goff going to be throwing to now? Not
That's
Marvin
why
Jones.
I'm saying no one. That's why I'm saying.
Not Kenny Golladay.
That's why. That's it. You're making my point for me, Adam Rank. This is exactly why I'm saying Jared Goff. He's going to be, unfortunately for him, people are going to say, "Oh, well, hey, listen, Jared Goff's he's not the answer." And then, but you're ignoring the scenario that he's in. He's got no one to throw to in Detroit. No one.
I cannot believe that your thing was like he had no receivers in Los Angeles. That is that is some gravitas.
I'm just saying.
Wow.
All I'm saying. If this was, let's say, you know what? Hey, you know what? If this was Peyton Manning going from Indianapolis to LA, and he all of a sudden has Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, are we going to say Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp made Peyton Manning? No. We're going to, if they put up these numbers, these video game type numbers, we're going to say, oh, well, hey, listen, it's Peyton Manning all the way. I'm just saying, let's be consistent with it. I'm not saying Jared Goff's a top 5 quarterback. I'm not saying that. I'm not even saying he's a top 8 quarterback. But can we give him some grace? Can we give him a little bit of patience, a little bit of leeway, some rope? What are you laughing about? I'm just saying.
This is the most amazing thing. I even as a hot take, even trying to make up an Onion headline, this still seems a bit extreme.
Okay. All right. Should we move on?
To you.
All right.
Yeah, please.
Right. We'll move on. Start, bench, or cut. We're going to play a little game of start, bench, cut. All right. We actually have 4 iconic wrestling submissions, and you need to start, bench, and cut 2. You need to cut 2.
We've got
cut 2. We're making it even more difficult for ourselves. Ric Flair's figure 4 leg lock. Bret Hart's sharpshooter, not to be confused with the Scorpion Deathlock.
Totally
Kurt
different.
Angle's ankle lock. Mm-hmm. Or Ted DiBiase's million dream. Adam Rank, start, bench, cut. Let's start with the cuts.
I'm going to cut the ankle lock, which it seems like the easiest move to get out of.
Wow.
Like, I like to judge moves based on how well my kids can get out of it.
Okay.
And the ankle lock, my boy just twists out of. Like, it's like you can't even, like, because when you're trying to put on like a diaper or something like that, a lot of times it feels like you're trying to put him in the ankle lock and you're like, this isn't working. I end up giving him the sharpshooter at some point because he works himself around to where you're like, oh, he's in the sharpshooter now. So I don't like the ankle lock. That has always been one where you're like, he's an Olympic champion who knows like a lot of badass moves. Why is the ankle lock a thing? Like, it's too, I don't know. It's of me having to suspend belief. Like that seems
it's too much. It's a step too far.
It's not as egregious as the rock bottom. You're like that. You're just gently putting him on the ground. Like, come on. The stunner makes sense. Like that feels like it would. Like anytime your kid catches you, like in the jaw, it hurts.
Oh, it hurts.
So I'm gonna get rid of that. I'm also gonna. I hate because I like the wrestler better, but I think the $1 Million Dream is one that I don't want to cut it. Like it's a good, like you got to make a tough call at some point.
Yeah.
So I'm cutting the $1 Million Dream.
It's not this is not a bad list, right? I mean, it's
a perfect. No, it's good. It's good.
It's a good list because it hurts. It hurts to get rid of any of these.
Yeah. And I'm going to.
All right. So we're down to our last two.
I'll just start. This is like the Miss America pageant. You got to announce the winner because.
Okay. Got it. All right.
The figure four is way too iconic. So you got to start that one. Like it's just such a great move. People don't understand which leg is the one that, no. It's this leg is the one that's actually got the pressure on it. I do remember when the Miz started using it. Like I thought it was such a cool thing. I thought it elevated the Miz a little bit to be like, oh, he's doing the figure four. And it was like kind of a cool passing of the torch. And I love the figure four reversal. I love the way Charlotte has added a little bit extra to it by doing like the spider crawl with it or whatever, the bridge pose.
Yeah, the bridge, right.
Like that's cool. Like I think that's pretty cool. It's one of the most iconic things. I do love the sharpshooter and I love that Natalya does it. It is kind of a cool like family tradition. I like that the lineage is carried down to those two performers. Two of my favorite wrestlers too. So, but I got to go figure four. So let's go with you. What do you got?
I think I'm in agreement with you. First of all, I want to say what's up to the chat because, these guys have really been coming with it, man. So that's been cool. Patty, Miles Peacock, Brandon Graham. Brandon Graham, I'll throw this to you, Rank. Brandon Graham asks, are y'all hyped for WrestleMania?
This is actually a really good WrestleMania card. And as somebody who hasn't been watching as much WWE as I have in the past, when I look at that card, I'm like, holy Lord, there's a lot of great matches. And I think that the one with Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, and Edge is going to be fantastic. And so they've done a great job with Roman Reigns.
I think I missed this one, but Miles Peacock chimed in saying Jack Easterby equals Woody.
Yeah. Woody's the worst, man. What a terrible character.
Oh, man. And then Patty chimed in with the LA Rams called to say that a good coach QB can make a difference. I think that was in relation to our Jags conversation, talking about Trevor Lawrence potentially, teaming up with this great cast of characters and elevating these guys over the top, man. But I do want to say what's up to everybody in the chat, and I do appreciate you guys chiming in. If you guys want to like and subscribe too, that would be super, super dope. Would appreciate that. All right, so man, start, bench, cut. I am in agreement with you in regards to the figure four leg lock. I think it's too iconic. And also, who hasn't at least tried to apply the figure four leg lock? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I tried it today. Yeah.
And so, yeah, man, I think it's too iconic. Ric Flair, who, in my opinion, is a top four wrestler. He's on my Mount Rushmore of pro wrestlers of all time. But full disclosure, I don't watch almost any pro wrestling nowadays. I've got two kids, and I don't know. You got two kids too. I don't know how the hell you make the time to watch.
Well, I've actually had to stop letting them watch wrestling. The boy gets too hype, and he does this move. He does this move where he stands on the edge of the couch and falls straight back
Oh God.
Onto the cushions, at least. And Rosie McGee, the wife, was all like, where the hell did he learn that move? And then we were watching AEW and Darby Allin was doing the coffin drop. And she's like, son of a B. Like, stop letting him watch AEW. It's a little too violent. Like, he can't watch anything. It's like Batman comes on, he starts throwing hands.
It must hurt Rosie McGee a little bit too. She was a little bit of a wrestling fan.
Yeah, she's a mark, so she likes it.
Okay.
But I still watch AEW like Wednesday. Like we do this on Wednesday. Wednesday is a huge night for me because I have AEW. I've got the challenge. Like there's a lot of stuff going on. This is I was up to 1 a.m. last night putting together my mock draft with a twist. A lot of things were going on, but I still find a way. I get AEW in Impact. No, she didn't. Patio. She did not say B. She said the full word, patio. That's a buddy of mine. Patio loves the. If I know that I get derided for wearing flat bill caps, but my buddy Patio is the flat bill master. He's from Whittier, wherever he is now. He rocks a flat bill like nobody else, with the stickers on too. Oh
well. First of all, you're a psychopath if you take the sticker off.
Yeah.
Why are you taking the sticker off?
I hate
What are you
that.
doing?
You're making it dirty.
Too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It came with the sticker. That's how it should be worn. I totally agree with that. Okay, so we're starting the figure 4. Oh man, I'll also start from the bottom here. Who are we cutting out of this 4? And so again, if you're just joining us, it's the sharpshooter, the figure 4, the ankle lock. Try saying that 10 times fast. Or Ted DiBiase, or Stone Cold Steve Austin's $1 Million Dream. I'm gonna cut the $1 Million Dream as much as it pains me to do that, and I know it pains you too.
It's tough. I love Ted DiBiase.
Oh man, yeah. The sharpshooter, boy. I'm gonna. Oh my gosh, how do we do this? Do I cut the sharpshooter? Here's the thing. I am such an Angle fan.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to say, well, I'm gonna cut the ankle lock, and I understand what you're saying, but when he slapped that on, I got hyped.
Yeah.
I got hyped.
I know. I'm a bigger Kurt Angle fan than I am Bret Hart, so it was tough for me to do that. But the sharpshooter was pretty dope.
Yeah, it's pretty dope. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna throw you for a curve here. I'm gonna start the figure 4. I am going to bench the $1 Million Dream, and then I'll cut the rest. I will cut the sharpshooter, and I will cut the ankle lock. And I'll explain the Ted DiBiase move. I just realized when I'm going back and I'm thinking about it, when people, casuals, when anyone is talking about iconic wrestling moves, one of the moves that you will always hear is the sleeper hold.
Yeah.
And who has the most famous sleeper hold?
Brutus
it's Ted
the Barber
DiBiase.
Oh.
It's Ted DiBiase and the $1 Million Dream. So I will. That's what I'll do. I'll bench the $1 Million Dream. I'll start the figure 4, and I'll cut the rest, man. All right. I don't feel good about it though. I don't
it's
feel.
A tough one.
Which is why I know it's actually a good question, because
I feel like Nick Saban trying to figure out which one of these studs I'm going to start, because every year Nick Saban has like 8 guys in the first round. Like, hey, how is this working? Like every year. Like Alvin Kamara. Like think about the lunacy of Alvin Kamara not being good enough to stay at Alabama, had to transfer to Tennessee.
and didn't start there for some reason.
Oh my God. Imagine if he would have gone to trying to
Cal?
think of the West Coast. To where now?
Cal.
Yeah, that would have been a good. Yeah, perfect. Perfect example.
No, actually USC probably would have been perfect for him.
No, I think Stanford would have been better.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if that matched up time-wise with Christian McCaffrey. If he would have came in after, I'd have to think about that.
Yeah.
Some Pac-12 school, not
Some
UCLA.
Pac-12. Oregon? Sure.
Oregon.
Actually, Him with that swag sauce at Oregon, that might have been too much. That actually might have been nice. That would have been nice. All right. Hey, listen, great first show, Adam Rank. Appreciate you. We're going to do this again next week. We're going to do this every week.
Yeah.
We're going to do this every week.
I just realized, too, I canceled on our boy Hytham this week because I thought it was my kid's spring break. I'm like, oh, wait, spring break's next week. But no, yeah, we'll do it. I'm in. Wednesday, this is my thing. I've already got it locked into the calendar.
Yeah, me too. All right, I'm really looking forward to it. And if you stuck with us this long, man, I appreciate it.
Patio is still sticking in with the wrestling talk because he loves it.
Bop! The wrestling segment is the midweek hypothetical that I didn't know I needed. Yes! That's what we're talking about, man. And we're going to be talking about all kinds of weird, wacky things at the end of our shows because what the hell, why not? We're making it up as we go along. We don't got suits breathing down our necks talking about you guys got to get off the air. You got to stick to foot. No.
I got a 2:00 meeting, so let's not be too crazy yet.
All right. But yeah, and again, if you guys could like and subscribe, man, that'd be great. We're going to be doing this every single Wednesday. But listen, man, we're starting a movement, you know? Like if y'all want to hit us up with the hashtag Tackling Dummies, for sure, we're going to reply back to all that stuff. So again, appreciate y'all. We will see you next Wednesday for the Macho Man, Ranky Savage.
Oh, yeah.
I am Hollywood Hulk. Kogan, what you gonna do, brother? When the Tackling Dummies run wild on you. All right, we'll see you.